Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Friday, the 23rd of February. One more sleep until Rangers are back in action. The league leaders taking on Hearts at Ibrox. To look forward to that game, and also to the last 16 Europa League draw, which takes place in just under 90 minutes' time. Chris Jack joins me. How are we doing, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek, not bad. It's an exciting day. Press conference day, as you say, 24 hours until Rangers are back in action, and we do have that draw, so plenty to look forward to today, and hopefully plenty to look forward to in what's left of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an exciting time to be a Rangers supporter. There's no doubt about it. Right, that's before we talk all things Rangers, folks. You know the drill by now. Just a quick word for our podcast sponsors, the MPH Group. If you're looking for some home improvements, then these are the guys to call. The all-important links are in the description below. Also in the description below is a great piece this morning from Alex Mooney on Philip Clement, and a bit of background on the Belgian, how he's a smart guy. He's got a law degree, and how he's just a bit of background about his time over there in Belgium. So I urge you all to go and check it out. It's a cracking read, and the story link is in the description below. So yeah, fascinating reading this morning. Right, let's talk about. We'll start off with the draw then, Chris, because. Of course, the playoff round culminated last night. Some surprising results in there. Rangers are seeded. The first leg will be away from home on March the 7th, I think it is, before the return at Ibrox on March the 14th. Now, the draw, incidentally, I know a lot of you commenting in, it takes place at 11 a.m. It's on live on TNT Sports 2. There will be a lot of faffing around, as there normally is at these draws. But yeah, around that time, we'll find out who Rangers will play. Now, the seeded teams, I'll read you out the seeded teams first of all. Liverpool, West Ham, Brighton, Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen, Rangers, Villarreal, and Slavia Prague. Now, the unseeded teams, this is who Rangers could face. Roma, Sparta Prague, Marseille, Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Freiburg, AC Milan, or Karabag. Of the teams there, Chris, is there anyone that sticks out you'd like Rangers to be paired with later on?
I think AC Milan's the one for me, Derek. I've always said I went to go to the San Siro. I've never had the opportunity, unfortunately. So I think that's the one for me. There's a number of really good ties in there. Some tricky ones though for sides that are unseeded. It's not exactly a shooty in, but when you get to knockout rounds, we get to this stage of European competition, it's always going to be difficult. I think Karabag and Freiburg perhaps stand out as the two of the more winnable ones. Karabag also comes with travel implications as well. Rangers have also had a good time in Portugal, so Lisbon and Benfica would be good. Marseille speaks for itself, given the history. Prague, rather avoid that one. I think we've ticked the Prague box in the last couple of years. And Roma, I think also Roma's one that could glamour-tise as well. But no, for me, AC Milan is the one. I know we spoke at the start of the week about would you rather have one that's winnable and you get into the next round, and then once you get to that stage, no, you take it from there, or do you just take the biggest draw possible, really go and enjoy the trip, enjoy a great big night at Ibrox, and then see what happens? So I'm still mixed over my feelings on this, on whether I want a glamour tie and bow out gracefully, or whether I want a winnable tie because we're all going to go and book Dublin. So we'll see what the draw brings and what unfolds. But I think no matter who comes out, it's a great situation for Rangers to be in. You'd much rather be in the competition and be at this stage than not, obviously. And it was quite refreshing to be able to watch those ties over the last week or so, knowing that you're already in the heart, that you don't have that complication of adding those games in. I think not having a European tie this week be really beneficial for the squad. Also gives them a lot more preparation time heading into a huge game against Hearts, and that then bounces into the Kelly game next week. So I think it's we're now seeing the benefit of that historic night in Seville against Real Betis. So what will be. But there's certainly plenty for the Rangers fans to look forward to, which is always nice.
Yep. Tam McCann says, I want the biggest tie possible. It's what we want to test ourselves. Yeah, Milan would represent that for me. It's a few grounds I've been to there. Happy avoiding Roma, Marseille and Sporting at Lisbon, although Rangers do own Portugal, so Benfica or Sporting, take either of them, they'll be getting demolished, I'd imagine. Freiburg would be an interesting one, like you say, Chris. I think I would fancy Rangers against them. Karabakh, the only issue with that is the travelling, of course. Azerbaijan is not exactly France or Holland or what have you. It would be a bit of travelling there. I think the Rangers go to Hibs, if I'm not mistaken, in that Scottish Cup. Is that just after that away leg? Is that right? I'm just double checking as we speak. This isn't good preparation, folks, I know, but I just wanted to double check. Just looking at the fixtures at the moment in time. Yeah, Rangers go to Hibs on the 10th of March, of course. So you want to really avoid a trip to Azerbaijan, I'd imagine. Although, I mean, players these days are looked after in terms of the flights and what have you, but you've got the time difference and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's exciting. As one of the comments came in, I think it was Hugo Bear. He says it's just an exciting time for the Bears. I remember, wasn't so long ago, Chris. I mean, Rangers' reputation in Europe was non-existent. I remember times when it was a rarity that Rangers were in the draw after Christmas time. I think Alex McLeish broke the mould that time when Rangers made it to the last 16 of the Champions League back in 2005-06 season. After that, you have to go way back to I think Advocates. I don't even think Advocates team made it past Christmas time. I think that the Parma game was December time. I'm sure the UEFA Cup. I'm not entirely sure if they made it past Christmas. Then you're going back to Walter's first term in that 92-93 season. But since Gerrard came to the club, it's something that we've now come to expect Rangers making the latter stages of European competition, which is fantastic.
It's done wonders for the club. It's done wonders for the support and the players. Have been on also some great journeys. I'm sure we'll go on to talk about the coefficient, which unfortunately after Czech results last night isn't looking overly rosy for Scotland. But you have to say Rangers have more than held up their end of the bargain in recent seasons on that. I said there has been some wonderful European nights, and I think, as you say, Derek, it's now expected that Rangers are in European competition at that stage of the season. The Champions League campaign a couple of years ago was very difficult. The squad and the club just wasn't prepared for that step up. You then get put into a group which was arguably the hardest of the group stages that season, and so the gap between where Rangers were and where they had to get to, it was just too big a gap to bridge that season, unfortunately. But at Europa League level, more than competitive, more than capable of going and winning some big games, as we've shown once again this season. And I said the fact that people are talking about, can we get to the semis? Can we get to the final? Can we not being that silly by talking about it? Because recent history shows Rangers are capable of beating a certain level of team. When you get to like Liverpool, get to certainly that Napoli side, they're probably one step above. But at this level, there's no one in that draw that you think don't really want to get them because they'll give us a hiding. There's obviously bigger teams and there's better teams within the draw. And as the competition goes on, there's some really, really strong sides in there. This competition, it's not the poor relative. It may be in financial terms towards the Champions League, but in terms of competitiveness and some of the wonderful nights that it throws up, Europa League has been great over the last few seasons. I think if you're a neutral, you'd rather tune into a Europa League game than a Champions League game where 9 times out of 10 you know the outcome. Champions League for me has lost a lot of the attraction in the last few years. Even the games that were on this week, I've not found myself, I need to go and watch whatever's on Tuesday night or Wednesday in the same last week. Doesn't hold the same interest for me. Europa League has been great the last couple of seasons, and also the longer Rangers remain in it over the course of this season. Great for the club, great financially, and as I mentioned, great for the coefficient, because that's not looking in terms of Champions League qualification now, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll touch on that shortly. This question from 56 incoming. Two Lisbon clubs at home in the first leg. If we draw one, it might not be on the Thursday, I think. Yeah, Sporting, if that is the case, Sporting are going to play, Sporting are going to play their match on the it's Tuesday, the 5th of March. Benfica's game will remain Thursday, the 7th of March. So that is one to make note of if Rangers draw Sporting Lisbon, folks. Just on the coefficient then, yep, you're absolutely right, Chris. Rangers carrying the flag as they have often done over the last few years. I think the Czech Republic, if I'm not mistaken, I've got 3 clubs in the latter stages of European competition, and they look like they're going to overtake Scotland, which would see Scotland drop out of the top 10. They're currently number 10 in the coefficient list at this moment in time, which gets an automatic entry into the Champions League. If they're overtaken, which looks more and more likely, then that this season will be the last for some time that Scotland will have an automatic entrant into the Champions League. Listen, Rangers have done their job, Chris, for me. They've punched above their weight, as we just touched on, for the last, five seasons or so, 5-6 seasons. The other clubs have to take a good hard look at themselves. They've let the coefficient down. There's no doubt about it. The results in Europe from Scottish clubs, Rangers aside, has been far from good enough. So we can't really grumble too much if we lose that automatic Champions League spot.
No, I mean, you look at a league like the Czech League, and having, as you say, three clubs in the knockout rounds of this stage of European competition. The question will be, well, if they can do it, why can't our clubs do it? Now, it's maybe asking too much of Aberdeen and Hearts. They also had their respective European campaigns. It's maybe asking too much of them to get to this particular stage of a European competition, but there's no excuse for the other representatives. There's no excuse for Celtic. Now their European form over recent seasons compared to Rangers has been abysmal, frankly. And I said Rangers have done so much in terms of keeping the coefficient high, in terms of putting Scottish football back on the map, if you like, in terms of what they've done. But it can't just be one club flying the flag. It has to be everyone who is in European competitions, no matter what level and what competition it is. We need to be picking up results. We need to be trying to grow the game and enhance that coefficient.
Yep.
It also adds a very adds another level to the Premiership title race this season, because we've seen Celtic the last couple of seasons winning the league straight into Champions League, getting the huge financial rewards that come with that. If this is going to be the last season for a couple of seasons potentially, where that automatic Champions League money is guaranteed, it puts a lot of pressure on to go and try and win this. League. We've seen from the financial results that were released last November time, I think it was now, just how important European football is to Rangers. It's one of the 4 pillars, as John Bennett speaks about. It's hugely important that Rangers make as much money as they can from European competition, because domestic prize money, domestic TV revenues are just not there. The European money is massive for a club like Rangers, and if you can guarantee yourself that Champions League money, you're not just putting it in your bank, you're ensuring that it's not going in Celtic's bank account as well, and the situation there can then turn very, very quickly. So it does add another level to what was already shaping up to be a hugely important last few weeks of the Premiership season, because we all want to win the title. You all want that trophy in the cabinet, but financially it could have such an impact in terms of the Old Firm dynamic.
Yep, and huge thanks to was it William? Yeah, that was my mistake. We'll still have automatic qualification next season. It's a season after it affects. I mentioned it was next season, but it's a season after. But listen, Rangers have done their bit for the coefficient in Scotland. That's why it's imperative that they win this league, I think, and go into the Champions League, which has been revamped next season as well. Hopefully they can go on and continue to lead the Premiership until the very end. But that draw, just to remind you folks, taking place at 11 a.m. this morning live on TNT Sports 2. I think it's on YouTube as well. Rangers in the hat, one of these seeded sides. Just give you a rundown of who they can play once again. Either Roma, Sparta Prague, Marseille, Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Freiburg, AC Milan, or Karabag of Azerbaijan. Right, we've got a game, well, some games to look forward to before then. Chris, starting tomorrow, Hearts come to town. Hearts are in fine form at this moment in time. I think they're going to come and have a go. It's not going to be a gimme by any stretch of the imagination, but Rangers have got the bit between their teeth at this moment in time. I fancy them to get a result tomorrow. With regards to the team, are we expecting many changes, do you reckon? Myself and Joshua will have our predicted teams a little later on, folks. My team, I've got Rudvan coming back in. I've got Ross McCausland coming back over on the right-hand side. I'm keeping the Diamandi-Lundstrom partnership. Hopefully Cantwell is fit enough to start the game, and I've got him playing in that free role. The big decision for me is who starts up top, Fabio Silva or Cyril Dessers, and I've plumped for big Cyril up top. Chris, how's your team looking for tomorrow?
As we've shown over the last 4 or 5 months of the Clement reign, picking a starting 11 is a tricky business. I think out of all the games, 20 odd or so that he's played, I think I've got the full 11 right once. It was a game at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what one it was. That just shows how difficult it can be, because he's a man who likes to chop and change the side, but it's not through tinkering. It's not through doing it for the sake of doing it. It's because he's got a plan of how he thinks that 90 minutes is going to unfold. And then also looking at going into Wednesday night against Kelly, big game next week, and then back into European. So he's really managing the loads of the squad. I don't think you'll be that far away there, Derek. But I think right now, as you say, the big call is who plays through the middle. I think back four almost picks itself. He likes Rudvan coming back. I think he's going to got that left back slot as his own. Suter have been very impressive as we spoke about at the start of the week, but again, given the Balogun situation, once he's also had some more time to get used to wearing the mask now, but he's someone who could potentially more adept at handling Shankland. So there's decisions there to be made at the back, but top end of the pitch is who's going to score the goals, who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Dessers, given the number of chances he's missed in the last fortnight or so, is probably due one. And I think you're then looking ahead to Wednesday night. Is Kelly more of a Silva game? Is it more of a Dessers game? I think both of them, there's very little to choose between how these next 180 minutes will go. So I'd imagine it'll be Dessers, just for that kind of rotation to continue. But if it ends up being Silva, I don't think MD will argue. I know we spoke at the start of the week about the strongest 11. Is there such a thing right now as it stands? I don't think there is. Certain positions, there's key players. Certain positions are guys who are nailed on and who I think are better overall. Silva for me is a better player all round than Dessers. He looks. I think the team looks better with him in it. But if Cyril was to get the nod tomorrow, I think overall, despite the chances that he's missed, I think overall his form still has been decent under the manager. It's been born that it's been good under the manager. His goal return speaks to that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's him that gets nod tomorrow. And if he can, hopefully he's got his shooting boots with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I fully expect him to score tomorrow, and I fully expect him to miss a barrel load of chances. That's what you get with Cyril Dessers, unfortunately. But yeah, listen, I think it's going to be a really exciting game. The atmosphere is going to be electric, as it has been in recent weeks. A bit anxious, it's fair to say, against Ross County. Aberdeen, it was bouncing. Fans will play their part tomorrow, Chris, won't they? I mean, from here on in, they're going to have a massive role to play. It was interesting hearing the manager speak about the supporters after the Ross County game, when Rangers just failed to find that elusive fourth goal, and he said it's the anxiety in the stands. He can't allow that to sort of manifest itself onto the pitch. So I think the fans have got a part to play tomorrow as well, don't they, just to remain with the team and from the starting whistle until the end.
I think they've got a big part to play, not just tomorrow, but over the next dozen league games and whatever we have European-wise, whatever we have Scottish Cup-wise. It's been a long, long time since Rangers have been in a proper title race like this, looking like it's going to go down the stretch, could go right to the last couple of games of the season, maybe even go to the last day of the season. People just have to keep calm and carry on. Sometimes there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of excitement within the fan base, understandably. But you think back to the 55 season, Rangers had it wrapped up by the halfway point. It was obvious how it was going to go, and it was just a matter of time. Last couple of seasons, we've all had the feeling of it's just not going to go our way, and things get quickly unravelled under Gio Beale. So I think it's been a long time since we've had this situation. Now, on the flip side, it's been a long time since Celtic have had that situation. So how do their squad handle it? How do their squad react? How do their support handle it and react? The fans will have a part to play over the course of the next few weeks. And I think, as the manager has said, I'm sure he'll stress this point over the coming weeks as well. The fans have to stick with the team. It's not going to be perfect between now and the end of the season. Performances will go up and down. There may be the odd one in there that we don't win, and the situation changes at the top of the table, especially when we consider how tight it is. These things happen in title races, and I think back to some of the ones we've had under Big Ek, some of the ones I had under Walter. It's nervous, but it's exciting, and the fans have to remember those days. They have to remember the part that they played. Remember that it's not perfect, it's not straightforward, but that's what makes Rangers as a club. That's what makes title races as thrilling to live through. So I think everyone just has to keep a sense of perspective. If you're a young fan and this is your first time in this situation, just try and enjoy it as much as you can. But if you're an older head like us, Derek, unfortunately, and you've been through this before, you know the ebbs and flows of it. It's important that the fans, I say, just going to keep those experiences in mind, because as much as we speak about players having the experience and having that nous and that know-how of being able to get over the line in their own unique way, in a very different way, the fans have that as well, and it's important that they've got a real part to play over this as the next 12 league games or so.
Yeah, it's the first time we've had a proper title race going into the business end since Walser came back, so we're going back a fair amount of years. So, just embrace it, folks. It's going to be nervy at times, but it's going to be extremely exciting, and you just got to believe, as Big Marv said all those years ago. Big opportunity tomorrow then, Chris, because as, of course, Rangers move top clear by 2 points last Sunday with that good win against St Johnstone. They can deliver a psychological blow, if you like, to Celtic before they have to travel to Fir Park to take on a Motherwell team who will be fancying their chances against Celtic on the Sunday. Rangers can move 5 points clear, which could be huge for Celtic, who are stuttering. There's no doubt about it. They're struggling in front of goal. They're weak at the back as well. That they're conceding goals, and it's not an easy place to go, Fir Park. So if Rangers can move 5 points clear, that could be huge.
It's one of the key quirks of a title race. Now, Rangers spent so long playing catch up, one in terms of the points on the board, but also in terms of the games. So they were going into Sunday games after European nights on a Thursday. That huge pressure of if you don't win, and the gap's increased, and it changes the whole dynamic of the following week. That's now flipped. Obviously, Sky have had a hand in that, and just the way the fixtures have fallen. Celtic now away from home on the back of events last week. It just has put a different slant on things. As I just said, it's a long time since Celtic fans and players have been in this situation in terms of a title race. It's a long time since Rangers have had the chance to really put a bit of pressure on. There's been times, small opportunities like that in recent seasons, and we always got the feeling that, yes, the chance was there, but you never really backed the team at that time to make the most of it and to go and actually turn the screw a wee bit. And as events unfolded, it became evident that the squads and the manager just weren't capable of doing that. This has got a different feel about it. The squad, it's still got flaws, it's far from perfect. But the manager's words and his message over the last wee while, he knows what it takes to win titles. He knows the opportunities that you have to seize, the games that you just have to win, no matter what the scoreline is. How the psychological pattern can move, especially when there's only two teams going for it. Especially in a city like Glasgow, but everything is obviously magnified. People talk about the Old Firm Goldfish Bowl. It's a situation that Rangers haven't had for a long time. It's one they have to make the most of. I think we'd all love to see a real statement of intent victory over, as you say, an informed Hearts side. If they can go and win 3-4-0 tomorrow, everybody's like, oh, that's not what a great result. Doesn't scoreline, as long as it's a win, doesn't matter. If they grind out a 1-0, it's the same 3 points. It puts the same points on the board. It makes that gap 5 points. It then puts a different, and then impacts how Celtic go into Sunday. You would still 9 times out of 10 you back Celtic to go to Fir Park and win the game, but pressure and expectation and this stage of title races can do funny things to players, to teams, to supports, to managers. But ultimately, all Rangers can do, focus on themselves, keep taking care of their own business, keep winning the matches and putting the points on the board, and then ultimately what will be will be. They've got themselves in the situation now where they know if they win the next 12 games, they're champions, and that's all the manager can focus on. But even though he won't be taking it as a 12-game block, he's not sitting thinking, well, 36 points and that's us got it. This one game at a time will be the mantra. It will be the message that we're going to get from the presser later on today and heading into Wednesday and heading into next weekend. That's just how he's going to play it. But that's important because, as we say, he knows how to get over the line in title races. So, as I mentioned earlier on, it's keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, I like that. Scott Hammond says, says it's a busy day with the draw the press conference. It absolutely is, buddy. And Peggy says, what time is the press conference? But we'll hear from whatever player Rangers put up just after 1 o'clock, Peggy. The manager is scheduled to speak at 1:30. So you can watch those press conferences on the Rangers Review YouTube channel as normal. We'll also have our usual press conference reaction video. Myself, should be Joshua a little later on, who'll be heading over to the Rangers training centre this afternoon over on the YouTube members section. So we'll have that to speak about. It normally is very informative and interesting hearing from the manager especially. So look forward to hearing from him again, and we will know by then who Rangers will play in the last 16 of the Europa League. So it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on that. Just before we go, Chris, Alan Hutton was speaking yesterday, talking about James Tavernier, saying he's the best modern day Rangers signing, and he's a club legend. I was trying to rack my brains and thinking of any others that could make a claim for that title, but I think he's bang on there, Alan Hutton, in terms of Tavernier. His numbers have been ridiculous. He said he's been through thick and thin, which he has done so. Hopefully he's on the verge of winning his second title as Rangers captain. Any others you think that can lay claim to that?
I think for the money and for the goal return and for a 55th title and a European final, it's hard to think of anyone that's coming close. I know Tav somehow still has his critics. It still has people who don't see what he brings to the side. He will very much be one of these cases of you don't know what you've got until you don't have it anymore. When he finally is phased out the side or moves on, retires, whatever the situation that brings his Rangers career to an end is, it's only then that you'll realise just what he brings to the side. I saw again stepping up, big moments last weekend. Stepped up so many times over the course of the season. League Cup final immediately springs to mind, and it's just that for the outlay of a couple of $100,000 coming in as an unknown, coming in as a guy who'd had a couple of loan spells down south, had never really settled, had never made a home. To come in and a couple of seasons later be captain, to then go on and lead the team to that title, to then go on again and lead the team to Seville, coming agonisingly close to joining John Gregg in that illustrious list of European title winning captains. It's quite something. Ultimately, I think he still has that tag of serial winner. Is something that you can maybe say, well, he's not done that. I don't think it's through a lack of trying on his part, not through a lack of quality on his part. As Scott says, legends are serial winners. Legends can be, the legendary tag is thrown about far too readily and easily these days. At Rangers, you have to be exceptional to be considered a legend, to be considered amongst the finest of the fine. I think Tav is on that brink. Some people will say yes, he already is. Some people will say no, he won't be. I think he's definitely in that conversation though. I think if he can go and get another title, maybe go and get another one before he finishes up, that then certainly strengthens that case. But you have to remember some of the teams that he's been involved in, some of the managers that he's had to work under, haven't exactly helped his cause in terms of being a winner. Everything's a team effort, and Tav I think he's more than held up his end of the bargain, and as I say, more than proved to be exceptional value for money.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. As Alan says, Tav, without doubt, one of the best signings we have ever made, £200,000. Yeah. Big thanks, incidentally, to Mark Warburton for bringing him in, Tav, in the summer of 2015. No one I would have predicted what he would go on to achieve, but let's hope he's adding a bit more silverware to the Ibrox Trophy Room come the end of the season. Right, folks, that'll do us there. Thanks to each and every one of you for interacting with the show. As ever, it is much appreciated. Huge thanks to Chris as well. Busy day at Rangers Review Towers, as you all know, with the draw, the press conference, and all that comes in between. We will be back. Of course, we'll cover the game as normal tomorrow, all the usual pre-match and post-match reaction to come, and I'll be back on Monday morning. If I don't see you for the press conference reaction video, then enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully your team wins, and we'll speak to you a little later on. Bye for now.